What's up, desktopers? Xavier here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and in this video I'm doing my wrap up and review of a prejudging from the 2022 Texas Pro Road. It appears to be a battle between Andrew Jacked, Steve Kuclo, Martin Fitzwater, Quinton Eriya, and Kamal Elgargni. It's going to be an absolute battle, and I asked the question as well, if Andrew Jacked wins this and he's dominant, can he win or challenge for the 2022 Mr Olympia? All that plus much more coming up in this video, guys. I hope you enjoy it. What's up, desktopers? Now let's get straight into this one, because in my opinion this is the best lineup of the year. It even challenges the 2022 Arnold Classic lineup. That's how good this Texas Pro actually is. The top 5, the top 6, the top 7, you can go down the list a little bit more, is very, very impressive. And some of these guys, to be honest, I think all the guys in the top 5 of this contest most likely would have won most of the shows prior to this one outside the Arnold Classic. That's how good this lineup actually is. So let's go through it. So Andrew Jacked in the green trunks is looking absolutely ridiculous. The proportions are crazy. He is actually huge and he is aesthetic. His conditioning is really good as well, but he has a lot of pop to his muscle. So when you see some of the closer up photos, he doesn't look as shredded as he actually does in these ones. But overall, the structure, the muscle bellies, everything's absolutely crazy. He has a few little weaknesses on his physique, but very, very little. As you can see on his front double bicep here, Martin Fitzwater on the far left, just crazy shape. Like, he's got a vacuum going on there, huge quads, he's got big arms. Just really, that training out there in Texas has done Martin Fitzwater a lot of good. And Steve Kuclo, you can see there second from the left. I mean, that pose, just when you compare it to Andrew Jacked and also Martin Fitzwater and Quinton Eriya, I think Steve Kuclo is losing that front double bicep in my opinion, with Andrew Jacked probably winning that one. Let's look at a few more shots that we've seen as well. These ones aren't the high res ones. We do go to individual high res photos as well. The side chest, now Andrew Jacked gets a little bit exposed here, just the way he's hitting that side chest. Also, you can tell from the waist down, he's not winning that pose. Needs a little bit more hamstring from the side just to sort of complete that and fill that out completely. And just a bit more overall hardness in that leg as well. When you compare it to all these other guys that are absolutely shredded in that side leg. You see Martin's very separated between his quad and hamstring. Got a huge amount of lines for that chest as well. All these guys really came in great condition, to be honest, which is really, really cool to see too. Now the back double bicep. Now look at Martin's legs. His glutes are completely etched out. The hamstrings are crazy detailed. There's a lot of thickness through his back as well. His delts are huge. Really, that's a knockout, standout pose there for Martin Fitzwater. Andrew Jacked looks huge on this one. Quinton Eriya, he's improved that back double a lot, and his glutes are in. Quinton Eriya is there on the far right of that back double bicep. But you can see Steve Kuclo, he's still crazy, crazy impressive. And on the far left there is Big Bundy on Instagram. I believe his name is Jafet Clarifant or something like that. And I always probably get it wrong as well. But yeah, he looked really impressive in this lineup too. And there's a whole lineup of really tall guys. And then you had Kamal and Martin. And Martin was taller than Kamal, and Martin isn't super, super short. But in this lineup, it did make him look a little bit shorter. Now we move on to the side tricep. Again, the conditioning of, like, you can see Kamal and Martin standing side by side. They're both in crazy condition. The way Andrew Jacked is actually hitting that side tricep, he looks absolutely ridiculous regardless, but I just don't think he's hitting that to the best of his ability. Like, he could be bending down on those legs just that little bit more. You still want to stand tall, but it just looks a little bit awkward there. But he's obviously new to the stage, and this is, his second year of competing, and he's looks like he's going to be in the top 5 of Mr Olympia in my opinion, because when you compare him to Steve Kuclo, who compares well to like an Ian Valliere, probably maybe a little bit behind Ian Valliere now, I mean, I think that he beats Steve Kuclo pretty handedly. Now you can see a nice side tricep shot here as well, but we're all sort of transitioning to the front, at least the 3 guys on the right. And Jack's very impressive. The striations in that outer quad are crazy. Then we move on to the ab and thigh, where, crazy pose there for Andrew Jacked on the far left. Steve Kuclo looks shredded on this one, and he's got the huge calves. Martin Fitzwater, you can see how dry and etched out his quads are. The medialis is absolutely insanely shredded. The abs are crazy. Then you got Kamal, who just looks really, really dry and grainy. And then Quinton, who has the crazy structure and the crazy calves, quads, small waist. What a lineup. It's absolutely crazy. Then we move on to the most muscular. Now, Martin Fitzwater looks very, very impressive on this one. You can see a few variations going off on the screen now. The hands on hips looks crazy good for a lot of these guys actually as well. Pretty much all these guys hit a hands on hip most muscular, which is pretty damn rare, and they all look really good in it. It's because they've all got big delts. They all have a relatively small waist as well, and they're all in great condition. So I think the hands on hips looks really good. Martin Fitzwater in his crab most muscular looks absolutely crazy, and we'll get to that as well. But let's go through some of the photos of Andrew jacked. You can see here, overall, the conditioning doesn't look quite as good in these individual photos as it does in the full lineup photos and videos. But overall, just the structure and everything when he stands next to these other guys is absolutely crazy. And he had the cuts in the right places as well. He hits a few shots a little bit weird, like his crab most muscular needs a lot of work. Just the way he's got his wrists and hands a long way forward ahead of his elbows. I think that's a mistake, and it just doesn't make him look as good as possible. So that's the only way I probably see him being beaten in this lineup, is if someone like a Martin Fitzwater or someone exposes him on that posing side of things and sort of gets some shots up on him like this one. Anyway, we move on to Steve Kuclo. You can see pretty good conditioning. Just from a back, that back lat spread, there's just not much going on there from a waist up. It's just, the conditioning looks bad in the back lat spread when really he's pretty conditioned everywhere else. It's not the all-time best Steve Kuclo, but I'd say it's a pretty good one. Martin Fitzwater, I'm a front double bicep. He just doesn't look as hard straight up in these photos as well. So I think partly it's for photos, but then you move into some of the other shots and you see the tricep and glutes here, and you sort of start to see the conditioning and the overall density and muscle that Martin's put on is honestly just sort of mind-blowing compared to where he was last year. The conditioning is way better. The size, the completeness and everything is way better as well. So he's done his homework. You can see there the crab most muscular looks absolutely insane on Martin Fitzwater, and the abs and thighs and all those poses look really, really good. So I think he can take some of those poses against like an Andrew Jacked, but Andrew Jacked has a crazy structure. But Kamal Elgargni, a guy that was sort of favoured to come in here and one of the favourites to win the show, seems like he's going to fall down to about 5th or 4th place in this contest. I think just it's a matter of matchups, and he doesn't really match up with anyone. He's the shortest guy by far in that top 5. And by far, I mean by far, there's 3 guys in that top 5 that, 6 foot plus. There's actually 4 out of the top 6 that are going to be 6 foot plus. So when they compare him, like Martin looks short, but he's just so dense and so thickly muscled, and he is taller than Kamal, that Martin's still able to compare really well. And that for Martin might actually work in his favour, but for Kamal, I think it definitely doesn't. And I don't think that he was better than last week either. I think his conditioning was very good here. He was very, very good. But I just think with someone like Martin, who has that deep separation, that's sort of a similar height but a little bit taller, I think that's where Martin just takes the advantage. And I think this lineup does not work well for Kamal Elgargni. Then we had Quinton Eriya. He looked fantastic. I mean, he always does. He came in a little bit more shredded this week, to be honest. Like, you look at these individual photos and you go, oh yeah, about the same. When you see him in the lineup and you see other photos and video, you can really appreciate his condition a lot more, in my opinion. So I think, this is an all-time best conditioning for Quinton with that added mass. I just think that, overall, standing next to a guy like Andrew Jacked, I think you see a few little, weaknesses in terms of size. But when Quinton fills that out, he is going to be winning Mr Olympias, as we spoke about in a few videos and had a few people talking about that anyway. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below about who's winning this contest. How do you have it playing out? Give me your top 3, your top 5, or just give me the winner in the comments below and why. Anyway, that's it for this video. For Xavier Wills, Desktop Bodybuilding, make sure you tune into finals, so make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell button. For Xavier Wills, we are out.